Hello, everybody, and welcome to Voices of the Goddess podcast, where we empower, inspire, and uplift women to be the goddesses they were meant to be. I'm Julietta, the magical PT, your co-host here. Just to give you a little idea of who I am, I'm a Midwesterner. I'm originally from Wisconsin, but I've been living down in what is normally hot and sunny Florida, although this week we're having some beautiful cool weather that's letting me wear sweaters and boots. It's making me so happy. But I'm a physical therapist that is extremely outside the box, and I have been in private practice for almost 20 years now. I've been a PT for almost 30. No, I have been a PT for 30, but in private practice for almost 20. And I just work with people, helping them bring balance to their body, mind, and spirit. And because I firmly believe that they're all connected. And if you only look at the body and forget the other two, you're not going to have true healing. So that's all I want to say about me for today. How about you, Allison?
Hi, everybody. My name is Allison Mancini, and I am also originally a Midwest girl from Michigan, but have been living in sunny, nice and cool South Florida right now for 28 years. And I am a holistic nutritionist, and my passion really is about helping other women like myself. I was an extremely busy mom, 2 children, working, and had one child with some medical conditions that took up a lot of time and a lot of energy, and experienced a lot with her and then with my own health, and ended up going more of the Eastern medicine route versus Western. I do believe there's a place for Western medicine. We need it in emergencies. We need it in certain situations. But I do really believe in the power of our food as medicine, and as all the good things like Julietta was saying, like your mind, and it's all connected. Our environment, everything about what we do is so important to our whole well-being. So that is what I'm really passionate about. And I'm excited to be here today. These are fun days when we get to get together.
And I get excited. I mean, I love my work. I love working with my clients, but having a day where we get to do something different is so much fun.
It is.
And so something that we've talked about in the past, but we kind of have follow through. So I feel like we should talk about it again. Was our whole floatate experience, and going and doing the, floating in the sensory deprivation tank. I've purchased a package, so I've been going almost weekly now. And I know, Allison, you've been going pretty regularly now too.
I go tomorrow.
You're going tomorrow again. I just went Monday, 2 days ago.
Yes.
My question for you is, how does a float differ now compared to that first float?
Okay, well, first of all, I think we need to explain what floating is, because I have a feeling all of our audience
some of our listeners might not know. So that's, yes.
Okay. So I'm going to let you explain it, and then I'll answer your question.
So a float tank is, it can be like the ones that I go in at Floatate. It's like a whole room. It's a room-sized bathtub filled with water that's saltier than the Dead Sea. It has so much salt in it, so you float. You can't sink in this water. I mean, unless you're made of lead or something like that. They also have pods they kind of look like a big giant egg that is filled with salt water. But you go and you float in there. The water is body temperature. The air is body temperature. It's pitch black in there. It's completely silent in there. So it's basically to take away every sensory input possible. Yes. Is that a good enough description for you?
That's a great description. But so my perspective on floating is this. So I was very nervous about it because, first of all, I'm very claustrophobic, and I have a really hard time quieting my mind. So those of you listening that are going, oh, I could never do that, there's like nothing in there. Let me give you some reassurance that You can leave a light on if you really want to, and you can have some very relaxing music if you really want to. So my first time I went, I was very nervous about it, but when I walked in and saw, it's like a big sauna. It's like huge, the cabins are huge. Even the pods are big. So went in, and I did not leave the lights on, but I did leave the music on the first time. And for me, it was just, it helped me stay focused so that I could just get everything else out of my mind. And it was really incredible to me because the first time there was at one point, I'm like, I wonder if this is what it feels like to float through space, right? Because it's like, there's just nothing, right? It's just the coolest feeling. And then the last few times I've gone, one of the times I went, I was very, very, had a lot on my mind, had a lot coming up that day. So I had a really hard time letting go and just being in that space. So I decided, you know what? There's no rules to this floating. I can do whatever I want to do while I'm in there, within reason. And I decided I'm just going to relax and enjoy this. So I literally was like making like angels, how you would do snow angels. I was doing like snow angels, and I was just kind of hanging out and just relaxing. And I was listening to music. And so I think it's really the interesting thing to me about floating is it seems like such a quote unquote simple thing to go do, but it really feels good. Like it blows my mind how calm I feel afterwards, because I'm sure, it just calms your nervous system big time. So I'm excited to go tomorrow. I can't wait. It's going to be tomorrow's at the end of the day. I did change that. I was going in the morning, and I think that was part of my problem because I was thinking about my day ahead. Tomorrow I'm going at the end of the day, so I feel like I will be able to just completely relax. I'm excited.
Perfect.
Yeah.
If anyone out there's listening and you want to know more about floating, we also have referral codes if you want. Yep. And so send us a message and we'll hook you up to get you floating too.
It was pretty awesome.
So again, it's January, and we have our amazing sponsor, Graciela Valdez, my favorite photographer in the world. And Graciela is an award-winning, published, professionally certified portrait photographer specializing in boudoir and personal branding. She creates custom and concierge portrait experiences that are transformative and life-affirming. Whether an intimate portrait honoring your higher self or a professional and engaging portrait for your business, she makes pictures of who you are, not just what you look like. And I can't recommend her enough. Just this week, I saw she was, nominated as one of the top 8 boudoir photographers in Fort Lauderdale. And I looked at the thing, and I'm sorry, no offense to anybody, but her pictures are above and beyond what anybody else does there. So if you're looking for a photographer for both boudoir, she's done both my boudoir and my professional branding, and I would never even think of going to anybody else. So just putting that out there. And it's time to bring our guest on.
It is. So
let's bring her on. Welcome, Florencia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah, we hear you great. And we're super excited you came to join us today, along with your little puppy there. Cool to see
yes, thank you so much.
Can you please introduce yourself to our audience? Tell them a little bit about what you are, who you are.
What am I? Well, my name is Florencia Clement de Grandprey, and I'm an artist. I paint empowered and inspired, hopefully, people. And I try to do what Graciela does with photography. I do with my artwork. So very similar. And I'm also a big fan of Graciela's work. So thank you very much. I've also done.
I know you guys have collaborated a little bit.
Yes.
So that was cool too.
Yes.
And
yes.
If you're
amazing.
listening on to this in the future on a podcast, I highly recommend going and checking this out on the YouTube, because Florencia has one of her portraits on the wall behind her that your portraits are just so stunning and unique and special. I mean, the eyes of your portraits always pull me in. But then the fact that you're painting on all different kinds of surfaces, so you're painting on carpets and fabrics and wallpaper and tiles. What else have you painted?
Anything that will stay still long enough, I will try to paint on, basically.
So
So
note
this
to
one,
person, don't sit still when you're next to her. She might start painting on you.
so this one, as you said, is on an area rug, and I love painting big, and area rugs allows me to do that. So I'm a mixed media artist, as you said. I do paint on pretty much anything. Well, not anything, but a lot of interesting surfaces because I like combining the pre-existing patterns that are in the background with my idea, my image, and making it sort of come out of the background, and that's the fun part for me.
That's really an incredible. I would never have thought that was on an area rug. Like, if you're listening to this podcast, you need to go check out our YouTube channel and see this
And
portrait.
also her social media and stuff will be in the show notes, so you can obviously go on and click and check there. But yeah, her
Incredible.
artwork is just, it blows my mind every time I see it. So
Aw, thank you. And for me too, sometimes I look at things and I think, I did that. So we can surprise ourselves sometimes. I'll be in the middle of it, or actually at the beginning of a painting, and I start and I think, whatever made me think that I could paint? And then I keep going with it. I just stick with it a little bit longer. It starts looking like something, and then I go like, oh yeah, I can do this. And at the end, I was like, wow, I did that. So it's pretty cool.
nice.
Incredible.
All right. Well, I think it's time for us to dive into our questions. We could very easily sit here and just chit chat all morning long or afternoon, whatever time it is. I don't know. But we got 4 questions for you, Florencia.
Mm.
And the first one is, what one book do you wish every goddess would read and why?
Aha. Well, here is the book that I'm going to recommend today. It's called A Better World and Can Mindfulness Save Us from Ourselves? And it's by Piero Falti. Piero is a very good friend and sort of a mentor to me, actually. And he's accompanied me basically throughout my journey. I call this second life of mine, which is painting. My journey. This is when my life changed, basically. And he wrote these series of books on mindfulness. He's a mindfulness instructor. We've done courses together. In fact, we're doing one right now where we do a Zoom, and people are invited to find their bliss and to do their own hero's journey. And in this book, there's a lot of what makes us be more mindful in every day and just come back to the now rather than being projecting in the future or living in the past, which is, I think, what we tend to do a lot when we're not paying attention in the now. So this is why I think everyone should read it, because it gives you a lot of good tips on how to sort of be in the present, and it applies it to every day. Actually, I could show you a little bit. It has sections. So there's a section on kindness. There's a section on activism and unity and nonviolence, communication, all these things that we need to apply or should be applying every day, and solidarity. Just basic things, but just how to do it, how to apply it.
I like that, because a lot of times stuff is put out there as a concept, but
Right.
then given actual ways to how to apply that in your day-to-day life sounds super useful. So
Yeah, it actually even has a section for those who are mothers on parenting. So it's just like, yeah, I mean, I'm a fur baby mama, but for those who have real humans as children, this is probably one of the really interesting sections. So you should check it out, definitely.
That's really cool. I'm gonna have to check that out. And that's one of the things that we've talked about before. And I don't know if any of you, there's a lot of those like personality quizzes out there and, all that different stuff. But one I recently did called Clifton Strengths. One of my things is I'm a very futuristic thinker, which is great
Right.
in a lot of ways, but in other ways it's not, because I'm always looking to tomorrow. I'm always waiting for what's happening next. And I have a very difficult time being here and now. So that
Yes,
would be a really great book for me. I love that. Thank you for sharing that.
definitely. Yes, you're welcome.
So our next question for you is, what is your favorite self-care practice and how does it best support you?
That's a good question. I was thinking about these questions because I was trying to define one, and really there isn't like a thing that I do. I mean, there are things that I do, but say exercising for me is really important because obviously if I feel good, then everything else seems to fall in place. But I feel good physically because that's the first thing that I see. Um, so that just giving yourself time to exercise is a top one for me. But above that is actually just listening to my body and really listening to it, not just pushing through things. If I don't feel 100%, and I had that happen last week, if I didn't feel 100%, I don't even go to the gym. I just stop everything I do and I give my body a chance to recover and to put all the energy that it would be putting into maybe exercising to getting well. So normally what would take somebody else maybe 3 days to get over, in one day I wake up the next day and I'm good because I didn't force myself to do something that I didn't need to be doing, and just gave my body that chance. So
I
that's
love
listening.
that because, you know, and this may be a little bit of a gift of the pandemic for us to be able to slow
Hmm.
down. But
Hmm.
I feel like we're just so programmed in modern society to go and push, and it's never enough. We always have to do more. And to just slow down and listen to our body and honor it is
Yes,
it's really vital to our well-being. So thank you for
definitely.
setting the example, Florencia.
Thank you. And I don't know, it's easier maybe for me because I don't have children and I don't have the type of job that most people have, 9 to 5 jobs or whatever. So I have a little bit more flexibility in that, but still, we can still do that even if it's just in the evening rather than doing 1,000 other things. The laundry can get done tomorrow. It can still, it's still going to be there when you come back, or you're not going to try to do everything in the house or whatever it is that you do after work. Just give yourself a chance to listen to your body and recover.
Absolutely,
Hmm.
absolutely. All right. Our next question is, when you have one of those days that it's difficult to show up, what tool do you pull out of your back pocket to make it happen?
Well, it's also a very good question. And I think the biggest thing that I tell myself or that I remind myself is one, that this is not dress rehearsal, and that I only really have one chance, right? This is it. And the other is how would I live knowing that I'm going to die? So I know it sounds a little drastic, but if I know that I have a finite time and I don't know when that is, uh, do I really want to be putting things off? Do I really want to like not give it my best chance, try? Do I really want to just waste time and the chance to do something? No. So and every time it's going to bring me back to like, well, get your butt in gear, get up and do it. And unless it's one of those days that I'm not feeling too good, and then I'm like, well, I need to recover, right? If not, if there isn't any real reason why I'm not doing something, all I have to do is think that I only have so many days or so many years, and what am I doing wasting my time sitting around or just laying in bed? That gets me going every
Exactly.
time.
I love that. I've pretty much turned myself into a yes girl. And being a yes girl is different than saying yes to everything. But if I
Mm,
have an opportunity presented to me,
mhm,
I always think about, am I going to get this opportunity again?
mm,
Probably not. So do it, experience it. And there's a lot of times where it's easy to say, I don't feel like it, or I could do it a different time, or but really, life is limited. And so get your butt out there and enjoy it, experience, live it. So,
Exactly. And I also say that I never want to reach the end of my life and regret not doing something.
Mhm.
So I'd rather regret something I did, but at least I tried, than say, gosh, I wish if I'd only been, um, you know, courageous enough to try this, or if I'd only said this, or if I'd only told so and so how I felt. So I try not to keep those things and have that be something that I'm going to regret later on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Like I've started to, if someone comes into my mind, like a friend, a family member, whatever, I like reach out to them right away. Send them a text, make a phone call. Cause I feel like there's a reason they're coming into my mind. And I would hate to have that moment where I was like, oh, I should have reached out to that person or I should have done, you know what I mean?
Yes.
But I hear you. And I know, like when you said, living as if you're dying, and I know it sounds really drastic, but it is, I mean, it's the
It's true.
reality. Like it's true.
It's
Right?
true.
Like, we don't know how much time we're gonna have. And
Yeah.
and it's interesting because almost 2 years ago, I was given some opportunities that were scary and I was unsure of. And it was just like you said, Julietta, it was an opportunity that presented itself and I never knew if I would get it again. And it wasn't the greatest timing. We were going into the pandemic. It was like not the good timing. And I'm like, you know what? I have to say yes to this because I do not want to regret not saying yes. And let me tell you, I'm so glad I said yes. So I agree with you. I think that's a great way to look at things. And I love that perspective.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Are you ready for question number 4? What life experience has formed who you are today?
Well, can I start by saying that I don't agree that there's a life experience? It's your whole
True.
life. It's like,
no, but what's the
mm,
big one that
I know,
stands
I
out?
know, I know. I'm just being difficult. um, so yes, the big one, the biggest life experience that changed me is deciding to follow my dream and my bliss and what made me happy. And
Mhm.
that was when I decided to start painting full time and quit my full-time job and
I
just
don't think you
basically
told
took
people what was your prior full-time job.
oh well my prior full-time job was in interior design, and I worked for a large firm here in South Florida, and I was pretty much miserable, and I was overworked, underpaid, and unappreciated. And at that same time, I was going through the process of losing my condo. I was divorced. I didn't have anyone in my life. I basically had nothing else to lose. And everything looked pretty crappy. So I thought, well, how about giving what I absolutely love doing a try, because everything else didn't work. So it's time to start listening to what makes me happy. And even though I didn't know what it looked like, because I had no idea what I was really going to be painting, if I'd be able to support myself long term,
Mhm.
and just there was a lot of uncertainty, and obviously the fear that goes along with that. But i was I was determined that I was going to make it work, and I always say there's no plan B for your passion. So I said I'm not even going to entertain the idea of it not working out, because I won't be happy unless I'm doing this, and this is what I want to be doing. So I did anything and everything I could to make it happen, and now 7 years later, I'm the happiest I've ever been, and I highly recommend finding what it is that gives your life meaning and purpose, because that's what makes us happy ultimately.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I just want
And
to give a
look at,
shout out to Tracy who commented, and she said that she loves this question,
I
and
just do.
we love this question too. So, but thank you for the positive feedback, and
Thank you.
I love what you're saying, Florencia. I didn't do a total career shift uh, in 2020, but I did. I'm still doing physical therapy, but I completely shifted how that showed up professionally for me. And it was scary to make that decision, but now I'm happier than I've ever been, and it's the best decision I could have ever made. And anybody I talk to who's done that says the exact same thing. So I just hope everybody out there listening, if you are thinking about changing your career, what you do for a living, don't let the excuses stop you, because if you're going down the path that's going to be your bliss, what's really truly going to make you happy, you will find a way to get that to support you. So just jump in and
Exactly.
do it.
And you're never too old.
Exactly.
No, I mean, I was already 42 when I
Yeah.
decided that I wanted to paint full time. I'd never even done painting, like it wasn't my major or anything like that in college. I didn't study it. I'm self-taught.
And can you look
Oh
at
my
that
God.
painting that she does, and you're just like, I just started doing this 7 years ago.
Just wait a
and
second.
I
So
didn't know if I could or if I couldn't, but
for the people that are listening, if you could see what we see right now, the portrait behind Florencia, I cannot believe you just said what you said. Like, you have such a gift. I am so happy that you took that opportunity and that chance and you went out and did this, because it is absolutely beautiful.
and
Thank
this is the thing. Like,
you.
think if she didn't do that, like
Right.
these works of art that are so incredible for
Right.
everybody to see. If she wasn't brave enough to do this, we'd be missing these.
Yeah.
I have not an original. I have a print of hers. It's I mean, would you say he's a native?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay.
You have pride, so
I
that's the
have
title of
pride.
it. Hmm.
The original was hanging in a place that I was taking a course at in downtown Fort Lauderdale, and I would always choose my seat so I could sit looking at this.
Wow.
And I was like, "Who is he?" I'm like, "He's my soulmate. He looks into me, and he knows everything about me." I can't even explain how he made me feel. And it was like, okay, I can't afford the original, but I have to have him in my home. So I bought a print of it.
Yeah.
And, anytime I need like a best friend to just see me, I stand in front of him and he just looks at me and it's like, ugh, my
Aw.
day is fine.
See, that's awesome. That makes me feel like it's my mission is accomplished. Like if I can touch people that way, and my artwork can have this message and make people feel a certain way, it means I'm doing my job right.
You are
That's
doing
how
your
I
job
feel.
right, without a doubt,
And
Florence.
it's about empowering those who see it, and inspiring those who see it, seeing the warriors within ourselves when we look at these images. This whole series on the rug, I started during the pandemic. This was my response to the pandemic. I kept thinking, well, now is the time that I need to show up. And this is my best way to show up, is by doing the artwork that hopefully would remind us of all that strength that we have inside us, that we all have this humongous warrior that we somehow make it shrink all day because we forget it's there, and we kind of put it away. But when we really need it, and especially in things like when pandemic came around and everybody was living in fear, I said, no, I don't want to live this way. How do I want to live? I want to feel like we're safe, like we've got all the strength and all the tools that we need to be able to fight this and anything else. So I put out images that inspired me, first of all, and that hopefully would inspire the rest of us. And so this one here is called Fearless. The one that I have behind me is Fearless, and she I say she they're it's part of a series. It's part of a series that I called Guardians of Sacred Space. And they guardians are kind of like angels, where they don't really have a sex, right? But I call her because she feels like a strong warrior, woman warrior. But it could be, they're very androgynous in that sense. Some of my paintings aren't necessarily very clear masculine and feminine, and that's fine, because we have both of those in us.
Mhm.
And so it's not so much about figuring out whether you're looking at a male or a female. It's about the feeling that you get from it, and what it reminds you of, and what sensations it gives you.
Mhm.
So that's basically what I created during the pandemic, and I'm continuing this series. I have about 8 or 9 images that are part of my guardians of sacred space.
I
Well,
love that.
the eyes alone on that painting are incredible. Like, I feel like she is staring like into the depths of my soul, and in a good way, not in, like,
Hmm.
in a very powerful way. And it's amazing to me that you are able to take paint on an area rug and portray that feeling across. So that is a major talent, and
Thank you.
kudos to you. It's gorgeous. Absolutely
Thank you.
gorgeous.
I'm actually working right now. I just started a couple of days ago. I started a whole series of eyes, just the eyes, because for me it's like practice. It's I'm always learning. So
Mhm.
every painting I do is an exercise for me to hopefully get better at
Mhm.
portraying whatever it is that I'm doing. And I think the eyes are so important, and
Yeah.
the windows of the soul. So
Yeah.
that's that's why I started the series. I'm going to do 100 eyes on area rugs. Just I actually was gifted a large area rug that was quite damaged, and so I didn't want to just get rid of it just because it had some patches that weren't going to work as a whole. But I thought, "Oh, what I can do is break it up into smaller pieces," and I'm making 8 by 8, 9 by 9 eyes
Wow.
on pieces of rugs, and so they'll be all different eyes, and I wanted to sort of to, to remind us that objects like rugs in our houses, even though they don't really have a soul, they are witness to
Mhm.
everything that happens in that home. It's kind of
Mhm.
like the walls when they say, If the walls could talk." Well, rugs, you're walking on them. They are there where people get together. They are pretty much there all the time. And if they could talk, right? Who
That's
knows what
cool.
stories they would have. So I'm sort of playing on this idea, and making these eyes kind of like, this is what this rug saw, or the people who were living in this space who walked on these rugs all had their own, eyes and their
Mhm.
souls, and maybe this eye is one of those. So
That's
it's
cool.
just something I'm developing right now, but I think it's kind of fun, and just plays on this theme.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Mhm.
Awesome.
All right. We're running out of time here, so we got to wind up. What, if there was one thing you would want our audience to remember from this time together, what would that be?
Mhm. One thing. Let's see. One thing. You and your ones.
Hey,
Let's
we got to
see.
limit it somehow, otherwise we'd be
I
here
know,
all day.
right? Right. So the one thing is that that we can do anything, really,
Love that.
honestly, and we have nothing to lose by trying. That's I think what I would say. Following your bliss, and trying your best. That's what I'd want everyone to do. Yes.
Yes.
I love that.
That's a,
I love
a great a great way to wrap up this show is know that yes, we can do it.
Yes, you can.
So
Yes.
I would just want to say thank you again for showing up today, Florencia, for this
Thank
interview. This was so much
you.
fun having you on here. And I also want to thank all our listeners out there for tuning in. And if you like what you've heard, please subscribe, follow, like, and share this with other goddesses out there, because there's always information in here that's going to be useful to someone. So please share this with people. Yeah, you got something
Oh,
else you
just
want to
one
add?
little thing. Yes, just because I wanted to invite everyone to come to my studio. If you're in Fort Lauderdale, I have a studio in the Museum of History in Fort Lauderdale. And
Oh,
I'm there normally at this time. So I took off a little bit of time from studio time to be with you
aw.
today. But I highly encourage people to come and just visit, just see what I'm about, see what my art's about. I just love to meet people. So if you have a chance and would like to reach out to me and meet me in my studio, you're welcome to. You can reach out to at artbyflorencia@gmail.com or Art by Florencia on Instagram or on Facebook. You
Awesome.
can send me a message, and all the links will be in, I'm sure, in the
Yeah,
bottom
the
here
links will all
somewhere.
be in the show notes, so
Yeah.
people know how to get in touch with you.
Yes.
And if you want to put the get the address to our producer, and she can put it in everywhere where your episode is, so that people can find you. And I didn't know that. I'll have to come down and check out your
Yes,
studio.
you will.
I'm like, Julietta, that sounds like a field trip. We need to check it out.
Yeah, it's an open studio and it's in the museum, so it's a beautiful
That's what I'm
setting.
saying. And you said
Yes,
it's a museum of history, right?
it is. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
and history is like my love. I love history. So Juliette and I will make a plan. We'll come visit.
There you
All
go.
right,
I'm there every
awesome.
Wednesday from noon until 4, or any other
Awesome.
day if you let me know.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Florencia.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
right.
Have a magical
Take care.
day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.